Hey everybody, it's that time. This is the official Roc-Cast number 5. So I just wanted to say that today we're going to be talking about transforming a space and discussing on, we're going to do on a couple different scales. We're going to talk about transforming a space for animal habitats, for commercial projects, and for residential, big and small. And one of the most important things we have to do is talk about some of the people that have been supporting us as we've been working through this podcast. We want to give a special shout out to our top engagers and then a couple friends and family that have really been helping us out. So if you have anybody specific that you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, well, our good friends from Newfoundland, Leah and Chris, they've been showing amazing support to us. We love them. We hope to visit them soon. And they're my main people for sure.
Cool. We've also had a couple of clients that have been checking us out, which we love. Yeah. I know Dave and Sue have been watching, keeping an eye, which is awesome. And then some of the top engagers that have been there for the whole time. I think I saw a 10-week run for Suma. I hope I'm getting your name right. Comment below if I didn't, or show me the pronunciation. I would love that.
Even your friend today that you're building the koi pond for, Sam said when I got out of the truck, he said, "I've already met you."
Yeah.
But it was on the internet. So I got on a podcast.
Honestly, one of the most fun things. We didn't think that we thought it would take significantly longer before this could actually have some impact for the people that we're working with and for. So we love that and enjoy. So first thing, let's talk about transforming spaces. One of the most unique things is we've seen an evolution. Let's start with the zoos and aquariums.
Yeah.
Let's go from, usually we get a blank space, but you can still see it in a lot of the older zoos and a lot of even older sections of the zoo that we're at and work at, is how we can go from bare bones, like practically cages, to habitat. I would love to talk about the type of impact that you get as a visitor and what you say the impact when we talk to a keeper about the space after the fact.
Well, for me, I think that, with the last couple of years, there was an interesting shift where I don't know about you, but I noticed like with a couple of like the science centers and museums where the experiences were all digital.
Yes.
And people were going around and they're looking, there's like LED screens of like rock and grass. And you'd see like a kid walk through, and I've talked to a couple of people with kids that have gone and experienced some of these. Even what's the Jurassic Park World one that's going on right now? And most people are saying, yeah, it was kind of neat, but with just the screens, it wasn't
not as interactive.
It wasn't as interactive. Yeah. So to me, that kind of was a big. It was validation for what we've always known, and that's that just when we are able to take that client there or that guest there where we want to take them. When it's at the zoo, it's like different parts of the world where the keepers, the artists there, the architects, they want to bring us to a certain portion of the world, and then it's our job to make it happen.
Yeah, the environment educates the people themselves.
Right.
Like when you were talking about that, what I kept thinking about is a lot of the designs that we saw for like a decade was that the habitat was going to be fully immersive, but then the visitor side was going to be bare bones. And one of the most interesting things for me is one of my favorite projects we've ever done at the Toronto Zoo is the gorilla habitat. And like literally the trees come from the habitat into the visitor section. You're fully immersed. You feel like you're in the same space. There's like a healthier respect and understanding. You're eye to eye for that. And then I just want to, and then for
the polar bear exhibit, like up at Cochrane.
Perfect example.
Like that's such a rare vision, that one, where the when you go in, you're able to essentially the kids can swim in a pond that is next to the polar bear exhibit. So you can go up to the glass and the polar bear is right on the other side of the glass. I mean, what a interesting thought process. I'm surprised, honestly, that
that isn't everywhere.
That it hasn't happened everywhere. Yeah, in
Yeah.
every zoo, everywhere. It's such a neat idea, and I love that we did it. I love that it's still people are still enjoying it. And
Yeah, still a popular part of it.
Still a popular part of it.
The closest thing I've seen to that is like an aquarium where you can pop your head up into the acrylic and you feel like you're in the aquarium a bit. And it's a similar effect. We're both low battery since we have been working the full day. Okay, so zoos, yes, the transforming the space, I do find there's a much higher bang for your buck if you're actually able to immerse the visitor versus just the habitat themselves.
100%.
Obviously, enrichment goes through the roof when you go from basic nothing all of a sudden to interactives. And we've heard from zoo staff how they're wanting to incorporate more and more water features as a part of enrichment, as part of mimicking nature. And I think that's going to start taking the whole space by storm.
Oh, it's a huge thing. Like when they talk about the enrichment of the animal and how like they've found little effects like, vet checkups being less and less, with the way that the animal is able to participate in the feature. So, that just, again, that's all part of the validation. And it's so simple because, like, when they talk about things like biomimicry and, just emulating, like, nature's perfect and trying to make nature, like, replicate it, I think that now when we're incorporating it in our designs, we're doing more and more of that than we ever did before, where it's just like, why are we trying to go against the grain?
Yeah.
Let's just bring it in. Like, the world's already got it figured out. Let's just try and copy that. Right,
so the world's told its story for how these animals evolved and interact, and now
even water filtration.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Like adding all these, trying to add chemicals to the water, trying to add UV protection, all this stuff. Like
the cleaning and
you
maintenance
need
process.
A couple good plants, and you can get like a better result without any of that.
Mimicking the wetland, which nature has shown us for years in aquascapes, is why that's literally why we incorporated that, is because it just made sense.
So for zoos, that's like an obvious gimme. And then, when it comes to creating that environment for, some of our residential clients, that's been a huge impact on the way that they enjoy their space, right?
Do you think that you can have a similar transformation of a space without that water feature? Or do you think that water feature almost needs to be its core? Like going to a backyard, and they've got a nice patio set and a deck and a barbecue. It's static still, right? There's still nothing bringing you out. When you're talking about transforming a space and having a high impact, for me, it's almost like that water feature is a requirement, whether it's artificial rock or real rock, and it doesn't necessarily matter of the type of water feature.
Yeah,
that should depend on the space itself, right?
Well, most people when they vacation, they go try to find water.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're going to be they're chasing waterfalls, they're going to lakes, they're going, ocean, wherever. So, like what's the point? Like if you're trying to create your mini oasis, whether it's in your backyard or, some sort of, like any spot really, indoor pool area as we've done, you're trying to like take yourself, again, you're trying to take yourself somewhere else. You're trying to be somewhere to relax. So you're making your happy place. I don't know why you wouldn't have flowing water somehow.
Yeah. You said oasis, but like if you think of every desert and there's like that one oasis in the pocket, it's still all centered around water.
Right.
And for me, that's becoming more and more apparent to me, is that the basis and the starting point of every backyard almost needs to have some type of water feature. We can do a focus on that at some point.
Yeah.
And incorporate that, but there is something to be said that has the water feature has the highest impact for any space. If you added nothing but a water feature, you've already changed the space, your environment, your mentality. Whereas if you add everything else, you're just adding like comforts.
It's also like really great, I find, for people that know that they have a great backyard but don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can create that water feature focal point, then usually, and I think we've talked about diving deeper on this before, but usually that means like your landscaping starts to have a plan, your hardscaping starts to have a plan, your lighting plan starts to have a plan, like you create this enjoyable feature, whether you add fish, but then it's like, how can I now sit by my pond? So, maybe I need a bench here and some hardscape, like it's stuff like that. Maybe I need to extend the deck so it almost looks like a dock over my pond. You know, like people will then not. It usually is add on, and it can be in phases, obviously, but generally people will get this pond and they don't just get the pond. They want to like find new and interactive ways to enjoy the pond, the pool side, all those
pool
sorts
side,
of stuff.
not just
right?
like you're thinking about a pool, and there's not a single person that doesn't have a family gathering where somebody's jumping into the pool. But frankly, without a diving board, without something interactive, that gets boring pretty quick. But whereas, like, if you're adding a true transformation of the space, you are adding like a waterfall next to it, and that becomes like a launching point and a center point for the entire thing. I think a pool, like we said, water is the basis of it, but that static water is not transforming you in the same way as when you have a continuous water.
No, and it keeps evolving too. Like, look at how many more calls for not just grottos, but grottos that you can swim up into. They're adding like just like seating under a grotto is almost just an assumption at this point.
Yeah.
You know, they're getting bigger inside so they can hold more people. Jets.
Yeah.
You know, the water is also flowing. It's a full experience to be under there. Speakers, you know, so that you can listen to your water, but you can also, you know, have your tunes going as well.
Favorite podcast.
Different favorite podcasts, listening to that, you know, like whatever. And we're seeing that almost on every single one of these poolside jobs.
Yeah.
It's becoming more of an assumption. But again, it goes back to we're finding newer ways to design in full immersive experiences, and it's not just about the flowing water into the pool. People want to be like, how do I enjoy this in every single way?
Yeah.
So you know, if they're not swimming up into it, then they're on the pool side enjoying it. We've done streams. We've designed streams along pool sides. You know, like.
Do you think even a bad, like an ugly water feature, so it's still functional, has a positive impact compared to a like obviously there's a difference, but do you think that still adds to the impact?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some features.
Yeah. And they were still loved and cherished by the owners, I think.
Rhymes with Roc.
Yeah. But legitimately,
I'm sick of repairing them though.
Yeah. Well, they're like you were talking about immersion. Like we did an indoor water feature with the water slide, and just having the rock like coming around beside you, and it's almost like you're going through this crevice, and it feels like a secret space. Every element that we're able to do for that, to me, it just makes it so much more inviting and reusable.
And that point of discovery.
A destination, right? For
Create a
every new
destination.
person, you're begging to go show that person. If you had just a plain grass backyard, no matter how beautiful your grass was, and you came out and you said, "Look at my yard," everybody's going to take one look at that and then turn away and be like, "Yeah, cool grass."
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Every single person that you showed any type of water feature for a water fountain, a waterfall, a pond, a pool with a water feature, every single person is wanting to go out and explore it. And probably it doesn't matter what the weather is.
Yeah.
So
you don't mind showing it up.
No, exactly. And in terms of commercial use of transforming a space, it almost creates, like, by creating that transformation, you're creating a focal point for multiple people to gather. And that's one of the most interesting parts of that, is figuring out a way that many people that may or may not know you have a place to gather, a common space to enjoy, is quite a unique spot. And I think that we're barely scraping the surface for how that can be done. Even though we've done casinos, we've done science centers, and it just, the only thing that I would consider the most immersive feature would be Casinorama or Ontario Science Center. Those are the two that I think nailed the nail on the head.
Yeah, but even like I would say like Science North too, like
Science
they were doing, like, but you're going from feature to feature.
Yeah, I would put that more into zoo classification versus like entertainment or gathering.
I mean, I love that about Ontario Place when we did the rainforest, and then like once you shut the door, you're in the rainforest.
Yeah, you're literally there. You're baked. You're cooked. It's rain. They have misters, so it's raining on you. I absolutely love
when
that.
we did the Batcave in the ROM, like it's a full walkthrough.
That's a full immersive. Yeah.
That's a full immersive. Yeah, like even the, what is it, the King Tut? Like
yes.
Dad did. walk down.
Yeah, that
You
is.
walk in.
Maybe we'll get to tell that story one day. But our father had the opportunity where Egyptologist gave him the molds for this tomb, and under complete supervision, but had to make the full panels and then put it together at the ROM, and unfortunately had to give back all the molds and show everything. But that's like one of the most immersive, smallest space. Like, it can't be more than 8 by 10 and like 8 feet tall, but such an incredible piece. That's definitely a feather in the cap for that one. Yeah. So
and proof of our ability from way years ago, right? Because like until then, shotcrete was the only way. It's just the blow and go, where it's like
up to the individual artist on
feet
theirs.
thick.
But it's that skill set of that individual artist on. And if it's a giant wall, you need to be able to match multiple artists to each other.
Right. But they would have had to re-engineer the floor for something like that in the museums, and that was just like the whole point. That was the big point of what set us off right from the beginning.
Yeah, it's probably, I would say panel work is probably our biggest difference in any other different company that's out there. But and it allows us to be so unique with our immersions. Like some of the grottos that we've done just wouldn't have been practical or possible in the same timely manner, especially not with the detail. And part of the immersion and transformation is the ability to believe that it was there first.
Yeah.
I think both of our phones are going to die, so we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. We'll be sure to be back next week. If you ever have any questions, make sure to comment below and smash the like, send us the support, and we truly appreciate you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Finish.